Hello. This week we have something a little bit different. The Natural by Bernard Malamud. Short novel, 190 pages, is about the greatest baseball player in the world. An unbelievable pitcher, batting, he can hit anything. And his name is Roy Hobbs, and we meet him when he is on his way to Chicago to try out for a Major League Baseball team. But what happens, quite startlingly, is that he is shot in the stomach. Not in the stomach, he's shot in the torso by this mad woman who seems to be hunting down great athletes. And his dreams of being the greatest baseball player in the world are postponed by 15 years, where he goes back to playing baseball when most other players are retiring. And he's still good. He may not be quite as good as he was when he was young. He no longer pitches, he plays the outfield. Like, he's so consumed with being the greatest baseball player that even his lowly team that he plays on, the New York Knights, all the players are lousy compared to him. But when they see his shining example, they all dig deep and start giving over 100% of their effort. It looks like they're going to become the next champions of the World Series. But it gets a little bit confused when Roy gets messed up playing around with a woman he shouldn't be playing around with. One of those bad women.
They're down on him.
Try this one, Grandpa.
Yeah.
This was Malamud's first novel that he wrote, I believe, in 1952, published in 52. Malamud, along with Philip Roth and Saul Bellow, and sometimes even Joseph Heller, was considered the new school of the Jewish American literary heavyweights. But this is one of the worst novels I've read for a very, very long time. The first 20 or 30 pages, I thought, okay, he's writing it in the late 1940s, early 50s, and he's writing it in this hokey baseball style where all of the characters have amusing baseball names. Not him, he's got a good name, Roy Hobbs, that's a real baseball sounding name. But the other characters are named Pop and Red, and another character's named Bump, and the woman he's playing around with that he shouldn't be playing around with, her name is Memo, M-E-M-O. The writing is just so, God, can't you take off some of that syrup? Like, all of these lines that he's just, as a writer, you write these lines and you think, oh, that makes me feel good, that writing good stuff that I just did there. And then later when you go back and you're doing your edit and you look at that and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, what was I thinking when I wrote that? I mean, that is just firecrackers in the sky. I'll give you an example. The long rain had turned the grass green, and Roy romped in it like a happy calf in its pasture. This is early on in the novel that Roy Hobbs, the Natural, gets into a rivalry with one of the other players, Bump. And Bump is having this relationship with Memo. Roy and Bump have this rivalry on the baseball diamond and also in the love arena as well. Anyway, Bump dies and we get this line. When Bump died, Memo went wild with grief. Bump! Bump! She wailed, pounding on the wall. Pop, who hovered over her at first, found her in bed, clutching strands of red hair. It's just so awful. If there is a more unharmonious sentence ever put in a novel, I have yet to read it. Bump, bump, she wailed, pounding the wall. Couldn't you have gone back and changed that name? Like, it's just so ridiculous in that sentence. Like some other baseball name. Ernie. Ernie Witt of the Toronto Blue Jays. Lloyd. Lloyd is a perfect baseball name. Like, the whole book is really not very good. That woman, that athletic serial killer woman from the beginning who shot the next big baseball player, never mentioned again. Not once in the entire book. Not that she was arrested, not that she was sent to an asylum for the criminally insane, just she shoots him, he collapses, it's 15 years later. And Roy Hobbs does some patently ridiculous things. And it is explained because, that time that he spent working in the circus, which seems to allow him to do these magic tricks, which are, it's too much. Why did I say this week I'm doing something different? Is it because I'm reviewing a book that I don't particularly like? Well, yes, that's on the one hand. What really makes this book review strange this week is that this is the first time in my life that I have ever thought and will advise people, go see the movie instead. See, normally I'm very anti-movie. Not only do I tell people to read the book before you watch the film, I tell them read the book and then don't watch the film. When you watch the movie, it poisons and hijacks your imagination. But in this case, I'm saying no, because when I was a little kid, my father took me to see this film, The Natural, starring Robert Redford and a bunch of other actors that, I'm really sorry I don't see those guys in movies anymore. It was the best movie I've ever seen. I remember driving home, asking my dad, that was the best movie of all time, wasn't it? I had never felt so emotional from watching a film as when I watched The Natural.
Strike one. Wait a minute. You okay, Sam?
It's all right, Roy. This damn glove.
Max, how the hell are you gonna call him from way back there?
He looks wild to me.
Them your knees are here shaking, Max?
Mind your business, Red Nose, and play ball!
So please, this week, don't read the book, watch the movie, because the movie is it's that old style of filmmaking where it doesn't have to be all this very hyperactive action every moment. It doesn't have to be just like car chase after explosion, after bank heist, after kidnapping. It's slow moving, character building. Don't read that. It's really not very good. Maybe watch the film and then read that, because here is a spoiler. The ending of the book is different. It's not the same as the film. The film has this perhaps the most climactic scene in any sports movie, bar none. And I will say that it is my favorite sports film. I like Ali. Oh yeah, I want to talk about the Oscars today. So, did you see those Oscars? Did you see that amazing Oscar moment? What was he thinking, huh? That young Timothy Chalamet with his bare naked prepubescent torso on full display, walking in there like Steve McQueen with his little boy body showing to everybody. But I have a feeling that Timothy Chalamet, he's going to go places. I have a good feeling about him. I think we'll be hearing from that kid in the future. Reminds me of Timothy Chalamet reminds me of a young Pamela Anderson. Something about his open, exposed frontal area. Right. Grant loves books. Not this one.